Good morning, Central. I'm Mr. Hoffman. I'm here with my friend Mr. DeLaCruz to talk about a topic that has interested me for quite some time. If you've ever been a student in one of my classes, you've probably heard me talk about the future of humanities degrees in a growing technology market. It's no secret nor a surprise that it is a STEM economy out there. And we are at Central, I think, adequately preparing our students for that economy and that job market to take on those technology majors. But there's been a decline in the number of humanities majors, philosophy, languages, literature, the arts. And I came across an article in the Washington Post recently that got my attention because it was about this very topic. It had to do with Google looking into the history of their employee evaluations. And what they found was that among the most important qualities of Google's top employees, STEM expertise comes in dead last. And the 7 top characteristics of success at Google are all what they call soft skills. Being a good coach, communicating and listening well, possessing insights into others, including different values and points of view, having empathy toward and being supportive of one's colleagues, being a good critical thinker and problem solver, and being able to make connections across complex ideas. The article goes on to say that those are more commonly associated with an English or theater background as opposed to STEM. And I brought this to Mr. DeLaCruz's attention to see what a science teacher's perspective on that would be. So what were your thoughts when you read the article?
Well, it's interesting, and I thank you for the opportunity to, you've given me to say my point of view. I recently read a book called The Industries of the Future, where there's a lot of overlap between this article and what the book is about. If I right away I thought about industries that are worth a lot of money nowadays. Facebook, which in my view is not even real, is worth billions of dollars. Facebook doesn't sell you a product per se, it only sells you information. Airbnb, you can rent a room or a house, doesn't own any hotels. So also another industry that is worth a lot of money, where we got that out, right? Another industry that is worth a lot of money, where they don't own any product. So it seems to me, you can talk about eBay and also Amazon as well.
And
Uber, big one,
yeah,
doesn't own any taxis, right?
Right.
So it seems to me that knowing only software is not what's made these companies so successful. It's knowing the market, knowing how people want to interact with technology. And to understand that, you need to understand human behavior. And to understand human behavior, you have to be a good human to begin with. You have to have empathy, because you have to be able to foresee what problems will arise from your code, how humans will interact with the code. And that goes back to philosophy, theology, and all these other aspects of humanity that have been pushed aside a bit in the way we look at what being successful means.
Why do you think there has been that sort of push aside, to use your term? Because what we're talking about, we're essentially in agreement here. We're not having a debate, we're having a discussion.
Right.
And if we're in agreement, certainly other people are in agreement as well. Why do you think there has been such a push for STEM careers and STEM majors when it seems almost self-evident that those other things must necessarily be important too?
I think the separation between the humanities and science began in the 1900s. I'm sorry to go back so far, but once science became so intricate that the average person couldn't understand it, like let's say quantum mechanics, people forgot that the PH and PhD is for philosophy. So a doctorate of science has a doctorate in philosophy of science. So those two things used to be the same. Philosophy and science used to be the same, right, at some point. But at some point, science became so intricate that separation began. And so people started looking up to scientists a little differently, as if they were doing something completely different from what people that were going into the humanities. So that's, I think, the beginning of the breakup, let's call it. So I think we are at a position now where things are coming back together. I think the level of understanding of the average person about technology is increasing. People are starting to realize that technology is not separate from humanities, and I think that's one of the points of the article. That's a great point that the article is making. And also, I think another point that it's making is that you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be the PhD in physics or computer programming to be the person that uses the technology in a way that helps humanity. And I think that's the underlining good that can come out of this.
Yeah.
The fact that things are overlapping again.
And I think it is good. I think finding a balance is always the right thing. And it doesn't mean that balance is always going to be in one individual, but across the spectrum of a company or across the spectrum of an industry. I think we're seeing that greater shift. And I would like to encourage, would you rather have a successful job in a successful industry and be miserable? Or would you rather study what you want to study and have a career that's fulfilling and that makes you happy? People have to consider these things when they choose majors. Students have to consider these things when they go off to college. STEM skills are vital. Technology is absolutely part of our world today and the foreseeable future. But as the article says, as Steve Jobs famously insisted, technology is not enough. It says we desperately need the expertise of those who are educated to the human, cultural, and social, as well as computational. I think too often maybe, because we're in different departments, we're on different floors, we see students at different times of the day. I don't think that we necessarily pay enough attention to each other's disciplines.
That's a good point.
I know in my class, I think about, what we're doing and what are you guys doing downstairs, but I don't always know what you're doing down there, and I certainly don't always understand it. And maybe we owe that to the students to pay a little bit more attention to what the different departments are doing to kind of create that balance here at Central.
Create some overlap between our disciplines.
Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah, I think once again I'm optimistic that this is out there now. I think this is essentially a good thing. I think when technology comes into play, normally at first is slightly broken or it's not perfect. I think the internet was supposed to be this thing that made knowledge accessible to everyone, and it ended up being something that segregated people.
Right.
And what I think is it's a turning point. I think things are changing, and maybe it will eventually be that great thing that saves the world. And articles like this, and being aware of the fact that we're not islands.
Yeah.
That physics doesn't work by itself.
Right.
Obviously, humanities courses don't work by themselves. That there's a lot of overlap, and that the overlap is essential. It's actually what moves the world in a way. That's it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah.
Well, good talk.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Central, and happy to have been here. And thanks to the staff of the Eagle, Mr. Lombardo, for having us.
All right. Thank you.